use it as extra lumbar support for your back or as a cushion for that window nap. 97. Skip tight clothes. Wear loose, comfortable clothing for long flights. Compression socks are great, but tight jeans, not so much. You'll thank yourself after a 10 hours flight. 98. What does final approach really mean? When the pilot says you're on your final approach, you're likely less than 10 minutes from landing. It's not the time to suddenly use the bathroom. Stay seated and buckled up. 99. Holding pattern isn't bad news. If you hear that your flight is in a holding pattern, it's usually due to air traffic. It's like a plane traffic jam in the sky. Annoying, but totally safe. 100. Keep a travel kit handy. Pack a small bag with essentials like lip balm, face wipes, a toothbrush, and hand sanitizer. Airplane cabins are dry, and you'll feel much better after freshening up mid-flight. 101. Always pack a backup charger. Your phone dying mid-travel is the worst. Bring a portable charger and keep all your devices powered. Bonus. Some chargers can handle multiple devices at once. Perfect for family trips. 101 airport secrets that'll make you a smarter, savvier traveler. From dodging overpriced coffee to choosing the best seats for comfort, you're now an airport pro.
If you've recently been injured in a car accident that wasn't your fault, I've got one question for you. Do you know how to get the maximum compensation that you deserve in this?
Hi, welcome to All New in My House. My name is Andrew. I really appreciate you tuning in today to watch it.
A very nice shape. I like. In terms of practicality, like many an American classic, it's not quite as good as it should be for the size of the car, but you will, just about, get 4 adults in here, and the boot is fairly generous. So if you want to take it away on a road trip or anything like that, it's great. And I suppose if you are the sort of person that likes to do a European road trip, well, you're automatically on the correct side of the car. And these are cars which I know do get a bit of stick from European car fans because they're not meant to be subtle. I mean, this has a dirty great big air scoop sticking out the bonnet, part of the shaker pack that this has. It's got cutouts in the front indicators, which here are not functional, in other models they are, and they're very, very cool. Mechanically, the car is almost entirely standard, save for a resonator delete in the exhaust, which you'll get to hear very shortly. But all he's really done is a few little cosmetic bits, like putting some of the B's on and taking off some of the Dodge badging. The ones on the side I really like because the way he's put it on, he's cut out the little wheel that it normally surrounds and placed the indicator bulb there. So when that's on, it looks like the bee's tail is lighting up. I like that a lot. And this is exactly the kind of car that I know makes small children very happy. And to be perfectly honest, fully grown adults too, because it looks awesome, it sounds great, and yeah, sure, we know that it's not particularly quick, because yes, it does have lots of power, but it also weighs almost 2 tons. This RT tipping the scales at just over 1,900 kilos. But there are plenty of European cars you can say the same thing about. Why then is it people don't go for these? Well, the common answers are the fact that they are available only in left-hand drive, more of a problem of course here in Britain than in the rest of Europe. They are very thirsty, they can't handle, and they are incredibly badly built. Is that true? I suppose I should really find out. To do so, I'm going to press not the Super Track Pack button down here, that I asked Patrick about and he doesn't really know what it does. Instead, I'm going to press Sport, which opens a little valve in the exhaust, sets the traction control to Sport, and I'm also going to go for manual mode in the gearbox, which actually doesn't have a paddle anywhere near as big as I thought. Below these, what look like big paddles are actually the buttons you get on many FCA products. Now this is a big thing, so I'm going to take a moment, get a clear view of the road, put my foot down, and see what she's got. Very interesting car. In a lot of ways it really does drive exactly how you'd expect it to. It clearly is not built for this kind of road, and You just can't hold that against it, can you? This is instead a car built for people that live their life a quarter mile at a time. I do, though, still have what I believe to be some very valid criticisms, amongst which are not the steering, which I've got to say is a real pleasant highlight. You wouldn't think it, would you? Big American muscle car? I just expect it to be limp and lifeless. But, like that Camaro SS, it's actually surprisingly good. It turns in a lot keener than you think that it might. This, compared with the rental spec of V6 Challenger that I drove at Christmas time, is much, much keener. Also quite a bit firmer set up, though not punishing, and once you do get a wriggle on, it behaves itself much better. In the bend, you do get a little bit of weighting. You can see a fair bit of that bonnet, and it does simply make you aware of how much of the road you're taking up, but it is a pleasant thing to steer this. It's a very, very enjoyable 7/10 car. However, I am being very, very deliberate with my application of the throttle, because in spite of the fact this car is equipped with just about every optional handling and performance pack you could get, as RT's go, it's very well specified, it still has just 245 section wide tyres. Now they're wrapped around 20-inch rims, which look pretty good. They've been resprayed in Porsche's white gold, and I think a supercar down to the ground. But 245 for a car with 400 pounds-feet of torque. That's narrower than what you get on the back of an old E46 M3, which has something like 2/3 of the torque this makes. I do believe you can option them up to 275, and that is probably about right. Never really sure what it is with these cars. Every time I look at them from the back, if there's something like this, they do look a bit like a BMW i3. They look like someone's put economy tyres on the thing. Okay, there's a lot of weight pressing them down into the ground, but I've no interest in trying to light up that rear because, well, if it goes wrong, it could go wrong rather quickly. They do give you a proper limited slip differential, so at least there's that. Now, what's the turning circle and manoeuvrability like? This car is equipped with the 8-speed ZF automatic, which became an option throughout the car's life, replacing the old 5-speed. And it also is another disappointment. Left to its own devices, it's fine, but even in sport mode, it's not particularly responsive. Very, very frustrating. This must be one of the worst applications of this gearbox that I've encountered. Allow me to demonstrate. Right, I'm doing 45 mile an hour. It also changes for you, which is frustrating. I'm going to put it into proper manual mode. Hopefully it'll stop. But there you go. So after the shift there, and that's the shift. Why? There's no need. You're not even revving that high. The red line's like 6,000. And then it dobs you in.
The speed limit is 60 miles per hour.
That was 61, officer, I promise. The fact is, it really isn't as quick as something with this amount of power and torque should be, and that's because of the weight. It's also geared very long, but it's got enough gears that it's not a problem. On the upside, this car does perform in a way that you wouldn't expect it to. Economy. As an average, Patrick's been getting about 23 to the gallon out of this. For my friends watching from abroad, we have translated into UK MPG, which is different to US. Our gallons are actually bigger. On a run though, the long gearing of the 8-speed box combined with the standard cylinder deactivation that this has means that he can get over 40 if you keep it to say about 60 mile an hour or so. And that's incredible. These are also, even here in Britain, not particularly expensive cars to run, because if something does go wrong, the parts are cheap. Okay, not as cheap or easy to get as they would be in the States, where I think just about every corner shop can sell you a Helephant crate engine, but even so, they're a lot cheaper to run than just about any European sports car I can think of. I could blow this engine to pieces and it'd cost me £5,000. That's it. That's unbelievable.
Ready to supercharge your earning power? Earn more with high-yield cash from Robinhood Gold. Get a match on qualifying contributions into your IRA. Sign up now for just $5 a month.
what you will about Americans and their cars, but there are certain things that they just do right. And giving the customer a good supply of spare parts for a long time at a reasonable price is something that I think we really should celebrate. Well done, Uncle Sam. Now, back on the negative side, one of the issues you will face is the fact that there aren't really many official Dodge dealers here in the UK. And when I asked Patrick if he took his car to one, he said to me, very wisely, "Would you let Stellantis work on your car?" And I had to think for a moment, and I said, "No, I wouldn't. I don't really know what they're doing at the moment, and I'm not sure they do either." Bit of a mess, that. I don't think the suspension in here needs to be anywhere near as firm as it is. It's not crashy, it's just constantly fidgety. As far as I can tell, there are no adaptive dampers or anything like that, so pressing the sport button doesn't really make much of a difference. Brakes? Well, they seem okay, but I've had no real need to put them to work. Alamo might have described this as a sports car, but we know it's not. That's a sports car. Now, let's check another big issue with these cars, visibility. Even in the state, would you let Stellantis work on your car? And I had to think for a moment, and I said, no, I wouldn't. I don't really know what they're doing at the moment, and I'm not sure they do either. Bit of a mess, that. I don't think the suspension in here needs to be anywhere near as firm as it is. It's not crashy, it's just constantly fidgety. As far as I can tell, there are no adaptive dampers or anything like that, so pressing the sport button doesn't really make much of a difference. Brakes? Well, they seem okay, but I've had no real need to put them to work. Alamo might have described this as a sports car, but we know it's not. That's a sports car. Now, let's check another big issue with these cars, visibility. Even in the States it wasn't great, and here it's going to be bad. You are, of course, on the wrong side of the car, which can be an issue for some drivers and in certain situations, but because it's got this kind of pillarless style, it's not actually pillarless like the concept, there are B-pillars here just hidden, you've got to be careful, but if you plan for it, it's alright. Oh yes. Now I've put it in manual mode, it's also stopped changing gear even when I put my foot all the way down. I thought simply pulling a paddle would do it, apparently not. That one's on me. Alright then, build quality. Well, look, it's not the best. There are a few little creaks in here, but nothing horrendous. When I opened the door, I noticed a few big gaps where you can see pieces that in any other European car you probably wouldn't be able to see. But also, in what European car are you going to get this kind of engine for this kind of money? This is a very simple, back to basics, wears its heart on its sleeve recipe for a car. And I have a lot of time for that. Unfortunately, one of the other stumbling blocks these have is that people never quite seem to understand how prices work. Because what they'll do is they'll look at the US price for something like this, which is $53,000 RRP. Thing is, what most people then do is run that through a currency converter, and even with presently a pretty poor exchange rate, that'll tell you this car should cost between £40,000 and £45,000. Fact is, it wouldn't have when new. It instead would have cost likely closer to 60, because on top of that $50,000 price, you have to add 20% VAT and, I believe, 10% import duty. And by the time you've done that, and then you're looking at a car that costs quite a bit more, it's very easy why somebody might look at it and go, yeah, nice idea, but actually, I'll have a used C63 instead. Not that anybody's bought the new one of those with the 4-cylinder. Silly Mercedes. Not quick, grip's okay, I'm testing it ever so slightly. I don't really want to light those rears. I know I have some traction, but how much, I'm not sure. Still, linear, predictable power, throttle response.
60 miles per hour.
I know, I live here. Where was I? Yes, traction, it's actually not been terrible, but I just don't trust those tyres, I just don't, sorry. The good news is, if you are brave enough to buy one of these, because they are fairly rare, they also just don't really depreciate. Patrick's had this now for 4 years, and in reality, he's probably lost maybe 5 to 10 grand, which for a car like this is very, very good. He could have bought a brand new BMW 320d and lost a whole lot more. would have been ruinous by comparison. And the thing is, this isn't the car for everybody. It's just not. There is a simple reason why us Brits don't buy American cars, and it's because they don't make cars for us. On holiday in LA recently, when I had one of these, I noticed that even the Challenger was quite big for a lot of car parks in Los Angeles. And as for the big trucks, not the F-150s, I'm talking the F-250s and F-350s, by American standards, they're comically big. I know a few people that run a Dodge Ram here, and they're so tricky, they're so difficult. If I was driving a Dodge Ram down that road, I'd be terrified. Here, I might only once or twice be troubling the speed limit. It'll telltale you. But I've had a good time. I've had fun. I've enjoyed this. Would I ever buy one? No, because it's not really the car for me. But it's a really interesting, compelling package. A huge number of people I know would be put off simply by the whole left-hand drive bit. I get that, but honestly, it kind of makes these quite affordable. It makes them rare. That's the reason they don't devalue, because you just don't have that many to choose from second-hand. And a word of advice from Patrick: these cars, they can, not always, but they can attract a certain crowd. Again, not unlike your C63s and so on. And there are a few unscrupulous dealers out there that'll claim to sell these at what look like very good prices, but they will be bad examples. Pay just a little bit more, get it from a reputable, decent specialist, and they do exist. And you should have a relatively trouble-free motoring experience. And the whole thing is designed to be deliberately understressed, and the whole thing is designed to be easy. This car is built to cruise through the Nevadan desert at 50 degrees. The roads of Britain should pose no problem whatsoever for a car like this. And it's a nice way to have an interesting car without too much prejudice against it. In fact, who thought this was going to be on their 2025 bingo card? I think you'd get less hassle now for owning a Dodge Challenger than a Tesla. And ain't no Tesla sound like that. I can tell you, no siree. And the fact is, up until today, my only experience of a Challenger had been that fairly underwhelming rental car, which definitely didn't handle at all, didn't sound good, went okay, that was about it. This really is a lot more car, a lot more entertaining, and definitely worth your money. And it was certainly worth my time. So, Patrick, I want to say a big thanks to you for bringing it out, and as ever, to all of you for watching. Don't forget to hit the like button, comment down below, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you for the next one. Bye-bye.